I have been hearing some slander on these YouTube streets about Hades 2. And I don't know where this shit is coming from, but baby girl, get behind me because I'm gonna... yeah, you know what? You're right. I'll get behind you and I'll talk shit. Okay, we cool? We cool? We good? Okay, cool. Okay, all jokes aside, let's talk about Hades 2, okay? I am not a roguelike person. I do not like games that piss me off, okay? And games that kill me repeatedly with the intent to kill me repeatedly so that I'll get good, that shit pisses me off. I just don't like dying, okay? You know, the thought of failure makes me feel like I'm gonna shit myself. This is specifically why I didn't play the original Hades. I'm not going to call it Hades 1 because it doesn't have Roman numeral 1 on it. It's just called Hades. Okay, so, But anyway, I did not play that game, okay? As much as I am a big fat slut for Greek mythology, anything Greek mythology, I did not play that game because honestly, I didn't think I could handle it, okay? I was like, you would be playing as this guy, and while he looks cool, like, mythologically speaking, like, dude didn't even make it past, like, infancy. Like, I think he was a toddler, and the Titans, like, ripped him into fucking pieces, right? Which, you know, no hate for the derailment of canonical events. I am totally down for reinterpretations. If you guys have ever read the reimagining of Circe, if you've not read that, I should say, then you need to fucking read it. It's written by Madeline Miller. Go pick that shit up, read it. You can leave me a comment and say, yo, Crumbs, you're the best. Thank you so much. You're amazing and you have great taste. And I will tip my fedora to you and say, no problem, peasant. But anyway, back on topic. The reason that I did not play Hades is because, you know, I just didn't feel enough emotional resonance with that character to say, okay, you know what, I am perfectly willing to just get my ass kicked and suck and, like, have all of my self-confidence absolutely just, like, kicked in the nutsack. I wasn't willing to do that for that game, okay? It looked cool. I watched the trailer. I was like, okay, cool, bro. Hope you guys have a great day. And then, like a normal person, I moved on for the next few years, okay? That was until recently. I had a little bit of a lull between games. I'm waiting for Bloodlines 2 to come out, which is going to be, as I'm recording this, tomorrow. Can't fucking wait. I am so stoked. Kind of want to call out of work, but I'm not going to do that because I am a responsible adult, okay? I'm going to call it the next day. Anyway, due to that lull between games, I happened across Hades 2, and first off, you get to play as a chick, which, no fucking hate, you know, one of my favorite games and one of my favorite video game protagonists is Geralt, and I am totally cool as playing as some, like, ugly-ass, grizzled, white-haired guy for, like, 1,000 hours, okay? That's how good that character is and how good that game is. However, for something that's going to challenge me and test my temper as much as something like a roguelike probably would, it was really nice to have a character that, not necessarily that I felt immediately connected to, but I felt was representative of what I wanted to play. I was extremely incentivized by the character you could play as, okay? I love to be able to play as a woman in RPGs. When I first started gaming, which granted, I did start a little bit later than a lot of people. I started in my early 20s. I mean, prior to that, I did play stuff like Need for Speed with my brothers, or like the OG Star Wars Battlefront 2 on like the PS2. It had like the Silver Slim edition, you know what I'm talking about? But during those times, like, you weren't really playing as a woman, so there wasn't like a lot of female representation within gaming. I mean, you had Lara Croft, right? But I was like, dude, her boobs are like, I can't project myself onto that. Like, she's way too shapely for me, okay? Like, come on. But anyway, okay, like, on a serious note, having somebody that looks like you or who looks like what you want to look like in something like a video game is very, like, okay, I'm gonna use the E word, dudes. I'm gonna say it's empowering, okay? Because it is. It's really nice to be able to not necessarily be seen by the creators, by the developers. That's not quite what it is. It's more just like that nod of like, you know what? There's other people other than like COD bros out here, okay? We're gonna let you play as a chick, and yes, you can fucking hit on the muscle mommy. And yes, you can have a crush on your teacher where there's a little bit of weird power imbalance, and like it turns out like, you know, like, hey, maybe it's not what you think it is. Okay, maybe you guys are more alike than you think, and I'm not going to go into that because I'm going to keep this spoiler free, but if you know, you know. Anyway, so while this is not an RPG, it's sort of the same concept, right? So that you're not going through and picking dialogue options, you're not customizing a character, you're not picking like hair color, you're not, you know, putting a tramp stamp of a butterfly above your ass cheeks. Like that's not happening in this game. Everything is pretty much predetermined for you. However, okay, you do have a little bit of freedom within the romance system that's within this game. Now, you give certain characters that are in your encampment gifts. Those gifts change throughout the game. So you start out with nectar, and then you're like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make us a hot spring so we can go rub soap on each other's backs and, like, you know, I don't know what dude, they were probably just getting out their muscle knots. It was probably pretty unsexy. But anyway, you get my point, right? So it was extremely fun for me to be able to do those things as Malinaway because, you know, as Zag, I don't know, dude, that's not my projection character. So that's what got me through the door in the first place. I'm like, okay, you know what? You can play as a woman. She looks cool. The art style is badass. The gameplay actually looks fun. And I was like, you know what? Being, you know, 2025 and this not being a Souls game, maybe there's an easy difficulty, and lo and fucking behold, they have a god mode in this game, which I won't say immediately. You can't just like put your difficulty on easy and like that's it, right? You do have to actually progress through the game at a certain pace to be able to experience it in the way that it should be experienced. In fact, it's so important that you do that if you are going through the game too quick, like if you are just such a fucking Billy badass that you're just shredding everything left and right, there is a specific character that you would typically just like meet later on in the game during a certain section. However, if you are just like clapping cheeks so fucking hard that you are speeding through the game too quickly, they will send this character to you to just put you in your place and whoop your ass, okay? That's how important it is that you are actually going through this game at a certain pace. So God mode, essentially, every time you die, it gives you an additional 2% resistance to damage, okay? And it goes all the way up to 80%. So you'll never be like 100% like indestructible, but it does help a lot, especially towards the end game when you're dealing with some of those end game bosses that really just want to pound your face into the dirt. Or if you just want to experience the story, that's literally why they put it in the game. They wanted to make it accessible to people, and they did a really fantastic job doing that. Now, moving on to my comments on the slander. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen like a lot of hate, and for the most part, some of the things that people point out, you know what, you're entitled to be wrong, okay? One of the more interesting complaints that I saw was specifically that Malinaway did not give the gods a hard enough time for being assholes. Okay, and it wasn't necessarily a bad video, and I'm not going to talk about who that person is because, you know, it doesn't matter. I'm not here to call them out specifically for their opinion. I think they're well within their rights to have that opinion and those thoughts, and I don't 100% think that they're quite wrong, but I also don't think they're right. And here's why I don't think they're right. Because Malinaway, okay, she is part mortal, but she is also a god. One of the biggest things that you come to realize about her character is that she is obsessed with family, okay? She's kind of living with her found family. Yes, I'm using the term found family because, like, fuck, dude. Like, Kronos literally just zapped up everybody, right? Hecate snatched up Hypnos, took the fucking painting and, you know, yeeted them into the crossroads, right? And in addition to that, yes, they are her family. I mean, everybody is kind of related. It's fucking, you know, it's the fucking Greek gods, dude, okay? Everybody's fucking and everybody's related, okay? But they are not her mother, they are not her brother, they are not her father. So my point is the people that you are surrounded by, even though they are technically related to you, they are not there to raise you, they are there to train you. They are training you to be a soldier in a war. You are literally basically a child soldier, or I say you, I mean we're playing as her, but this is what's happening to Malinois. There are even points in time where, as you start growing closer to Hecate, that she mentions having regret for the way that she brought you up. She didn't raise you or coddle you, or she didn't outright not show you affection, but her ulterior motives were always to wield you as a weapon. I don't know if like indoctrinated or brainwashed is quite the right way to like put this, because like it's a valid endeavor, right? However, she has been conditioned to the idea that her goal in life, her ultimate task, is to get her family back and to release the underworld from the clutches of Kronos. Everything revolving around Malinois is in one way or another related to family. So this person specifically brought up Arachne and Athena, how Arachne was transformed into the first spider because she wove way better than Athena, and Athena got butthurt and then, like fucking turned her into a spider. Is that cool? Is that fair? No. Fuck Athena for that shit, okay? Not very wise of her. And I think that's even stated in the game that's like, you're supposed to be the most wise person in the entire like existence, known to like everything, right? And then you do some asshole prideful shit like that, right? So we can objectively say, no, that's bad. And it's even worse when Athena will not renege and like negate the curse that she ordered to be put on Arachne. And this person's issue was with the way that Malinois just kind of was like, okay, well, sucks to suck, I guess, and then moves on, right? So they felt like, even with Prometheus, they felt like, okay, well, she should be more empathetic towards people who are downtrodden. She should be more empathetic towards the people that gods have treated unfairly. Even like Heracles, right? You meet him in like the freaking like spooky ghost town, right? And he has like not a great opinion of the gods for obvious reasons, okay? Like Zeus was his daddy and Hera was like not fucking down for that shit. So my observation here would be, do you really think Malinois, someone who has spent her entire existence with the idea that she is training and leveling up to be able to take down the Titan of Time, okay? Do you think that people that are siding with him against her and preventing her from restoring the underworld to its former quotation glory and releasing her family from Kronos' clutches, do you really think that she's gonna have any empathy or concern for them? Like, how does that make sense? Legitimately. With everything that you know about her, how does it make sense that she would turn against family unless they turned against her first? Even with the idea of saying, okay, well, you know what, she should be more empathetic towards mortals, yada yada yada. She's not a mortal. She is part mortal on her mother's side, okay? But she is not a mortal. She is raised as a goddess. She is treated like a goddess, okay? Her concerns are not mortal concerns. The way she thinks and the way she empathizes and sympathizes, it is not going to be the way that a mortal would. Her mind would be almost completely alien, and honestly, this chick is like super single-minded anyway. And you might say, okay, well that's the problem, she's not humble enough. And to that I would say, what the fuck is in your blunt, dude? Like, what are you fucking smoking? What do you mean humble? How is someone with the kind of power and knowledge and physical and magical capabilities that she has, how would that person remotely be humble? Like, come on. Be fucking serious right now. The only thing that Malinois cares about is everything that I've stated before, which is taking down Kronos. Honestly, she is so single-minded about that the ending, I'm just like, huh. Did not see that coming, okay? And speaking of the ending, that's something that people have had some commentary about as well, which, okay, listen. I hear you. Now, I'm not going to get into specifics because I do want to keep this kind of spoiler-free-ish. I mean, this game has been in early access for a hot minute. It's been fully released for like however long, not too long, but it's been out in the wild enough that objectively, if you were interested in this game, you've probably already played it at some point or another. However, because it is something that's a bit more difficult and might take time for people to get through, I am going to avoid spoilers as much as possible. So, in that spirit, I will say that I did not expect that particular outcome. I wasn't upset about it. I actually thought it was kind of interesting because it keeps the gameplay loop alive. So if you want to continue playing the game well past the point where you've beat the game, quotation marks, then there's like story-wise, there's a reason for you to do that. Now, I put quite a few more hours into the game after having, done the things that you need to do to technically get in-game. However, there's some things that I kind of fucked up along the way. I didn't do the gifting right, and I wasn't paying a lot of attention to that stuff. So I did start a new playthrough to try to make sure that I'm doing things the way that you should be doing within the game. But again, the amount of time that I put into the game after technically rolling credit, probably an additional like 10 to 12 hours of that game, and the game was still going. It feels like that game could honestly be played indefinitely, and I think that's sort of the point. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. That's not the point of the ending, but I think that was put into consideration when the ending was crafted. Now, I do also want to talk about some of the things that are absolutely fucking amazing in this game. First off, OST, the soundtrack. I have not been able to listen to anything else since I started playing this game. Like, legitimately. Anything from Skilla, like, guys, can you please make Supergiant? Please, make some fucking Skilla and the Sirens merch, and I swear to fucking God, like, whatever you make, I will buy it. I will fucking, please take my money. Okay, I'm begging you. Plushies, t-shirts, you want to do the wall scroll that you can craft in game, like, girl, whatever you want to send my way, please send it, and I will fucking buy it. Anyway, the OST in this game is amazing. Like, for example, take this fucking love song power ballad, 80s power ballad, and just like let that soak into your ears for a second. You cannot tell me that that is like not one of the most amazing pieces of music ever recorded. Like, that's up there with Lady Gaga. Okay, I'm just saying, Mayhem, move out of the way, slut. And it's not just that song, it is every single freaking track in this game. Every time it's a new track, I'm just like, yeah, percussion, weird witchy sounded thing. It is so freaking good, and it is so unique. There's an interview on YouTube that you can watch from the composer, who also is apparently the voice of Zag and a few other characters like Skelemius. Like, what the fuck, dude? That is so cool. What a multi-talented person. He talks a lot about composing the music, deciding the mood for the music, as well as talks about some of the voice acting, which is really, really interesting. If you have some time, dig that up. It's definitely worth a watch. And moving on from just the soundtrack, on top of it, their attention to detail on every aspect of this freaking game is so amazing. If you work in like corporate America, you've probably, you know what, I'm sure like every single country has like a version of circling back, but you know what, you've heard that shit and it pisses you off. Anyway, circling back to Scylla and the Sirens, when you initially meet her, she's gonna sing Coral Crown first, okay? When you come back after kicking her ass, she's gonna drop a diss track on your ass called I'm Gonna Claw Out Your Eyes Then Drown You to Death, which is an absolute banger and hilarious. From there on, they kind of alternate between Song of the Siren, Song of the Deep. They might go back to Coral Crown. They really, really love playing I Am Gonna Claw Out Your Eyes and Then Drown You to Death. They love playing that song. But further into the game, bam! Bewitching Eyes, okay? And it's really funny because when you beat Scylla and the Sirens while that song is playing, and then you come back afterwards, she's gonna say, oh, how'd you like the song? And you can, you know, you can say something like super hoity-toity, like, oh, I wasn't listening to it because I was too busy whooping your asses. And like, you know, honestly, that's valid because when I was too busy whooping their asses, like, I didn't catch a lot of the lyrics. I only caught the first bit. But Malinaway will specifically say, okay, kind of sounds like you got a crush on me. Scylla will deny it, say Jetty wrote most of the lyrics. So either Jetty has a major fucking crush on Malinaway, or she knows Scylla has the crush, and she's like, hey, yo, Scylla girl, I'm gonna wingman this shit for you. I got you, bro. All you gotta do is riz her. Close the deal. Scylla never does that, okay? But we are here for that enemies to lovers because hot damn, that is that shit right there. And there are even more things that they little minor details that are just like absolutely amazing. For example, when you stop and you see Circe, and you can choose between which of the bonuses that you want from her. There's a spell that you can take which makes you the like bigger, right? Malinaway is she's like mortal sized, right? So when Circe casts the spell on you, you become essentially the size of a smaller titan, okay? And when you become that size, not only are you doing more damage and getting additional magic, but like your voice deepens. And it's like really, really funny because even Malinaway, when she's like, oh, yes, I'm going to death to Kronos, and then suddenly she's like, whoa, death to Kronos, you know, but it's not like fucked up. It, you know, she still kind of sounds hot, which is great. And on top of that, other characters will actually comment on your size. One of the first people that will comment on it, in fact, is Eris. And when you see her, she's like, whoa, shit, Trouble, you're big now. It's like you and Nimi had a baby. Like, girl, what did you just say to my face? What in the lesbian fucking shit? But okay, you know what? She's valid. We were all thinking it. I was thinking it. So therefore, we were all thinking it. Anyway, my point is there is a lot to love about this game. I have seen some people compare it to the original Hades and say it's not as good. I don't know if that's true because for me, this is my first love from Supergiant. I have been obsessed with this game. I have literally ignored pretty much everything in my life during my free time to just play the ever-loving shit out of this game. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to put it down to play another game. She's just going in the rotation, okay? This game is amazing. If you've not played it, you need to fucking play it, and you need to listen to the OST. And for the love of God, I am so fucking excited for what this studio has to release in the future, and I can't wait to see what other projects they're going to be working on. That has been it for me, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to toss a coin to your Witcher on the way to the bar and have a fucking great day wherever you are.